Hello, welcome to Restore. I'm Jen. I'm excited to share today's practice with you. We will be starting seated today. And if you have any props, so whether those are traditional yoga props like blocks and straps and bolsters or makeshift ones, which work just as well. So books or toilet paper rolls as blocks, couch cushions for bolsters, folded blankets, folded towels, things like that. You can have them nearby. This practice won't be heavily dependent on any one thing, but if you do have a pillow or a couch cushion, that would be very helpful for a lot of our poses today. Um, and yes, other than that, we will be started seated. So if you need to prop your hips up on something slightly, so that would be, a folded blanket. I have a Zafu, a meditation cushion there, because having the hips above the knees really helps to create a little bit more space, as a neutral pelvis so that the spine can grow tall from there. And I will meet you on the mat. As always, there's a playlist, a Spotify playlist that I put together for the classes. So you can check the link and have something to relax to. With our restore practices, we're winding down and we're supporting the body to get out of fight or flight, get out of the stress of our outside lives, and get into the parasympathetic nervous system to start to recover, like I said, restore and renew ourselves. So, whether you're doing this in the morning, in the afternoon, or at night, it should help you move on to whatever activity is next, whether that be sleep or whether that be going on with your day. So once you get into a tall seat, you can shift and reshift. Place the hands somewhere comfortable. Connect to that center line down the middle and start to breathe. You may soften your eyes or close them completely. And although you were breathing before, now you can tune into that breath. Beautiful. With every inhalation, you feel the breath enter, maybe tracing it down its pathway into the lungs, expanding the rib cage, dropping the diaphragm, feeling the body widen in all directions. And then as you exhale, you feel the breath come back out. Out as the ribs draw in, the diaphragm draws up, the air is expelled. As you watch the breath, notice those little points of transition at the top of the inhale, at the bottom of the exhale, where there's the tiniest little minuscule pause as the action changes. We set the intention now for the rest of the practice to meet our bodies where they're at and to really listen. The theme this week is to pause. And I encourage you to consider where pause can play a role in your life. Yes, this yoga practice is a pause. But on a micro scale or even a macro scale, can you see where else pause might be productive? And it's not stop, and it's not rewind, it's not ignore or fast forward. It's just chill. Chill for a moment. Chill for a moment before something is said, before we react. Chill for a moment before the next activity, or even before the next pose. Find a day to chill, to pause. When might your business, when might your work need a pause? And how can we implement those? We'll watch today on our mats how the pause can really help you integrate, how it can help you clarify, how it might even help you make a choice that is more aligned with you, your purpose, your body. Slowly start to open the eyes. And 3 times we'll sweep those arms up overhead and we'll come back down through the center. Notice the little tiny pause at the top of the inhalation and a little tiny pause at the bottom. See if you can make that inhalation the same length as the exhalation. After this last one, hang out, thumbs at heart center for a moment. Maybe bow to yourself and set your own intention for your practice. And we're going to bring our arms all the way up over top and hold here in a wide position. Let the shoulders fall down the back. And just notice what that position does for your torso, for your breath, for your spirits. Feel the widening of the body and the return with the breath. And with every exhalation, let the shoulder blades just settle on the back a little more. And now we're going to bring the right arm down and reach up and over with the left. And pause when you've gotten to your pose. Let that left hip be heavy. And feel the expansion through that left side of the body. Come all the way up. And other side, left hand down, right arm up and over. And pause here. Focusing on anchoring down that right hip and letting the breath expand the right rib cage, the right waist, the armpit. Come all the way back up. And now we're going to bring the right ear towards the right shoulder and then make some semicircles as you draw your chin along your collarbone. Just moving at your own pace. And then if you're finding any particular spot that feels kind of juicy, you can pause there. Do 2 more rounds. And coming all the way back up. Maybe a few circles with the shoulders. Let's come into cactus arms here. So palms facing forward, shoulders on the back. Take a moment here to check, trying to find some symmetry, trying to find that alignment, shoulder and elbow and hand all within one plane. Might take a little bit of work on one side or both. And now a little bit of a flow. We're going to bring the elbows towards each other, opening those shoulder blades up on the back, and then open up the chest, bringing the shoulder blades together. So widen those wings, and then draw them together. You can add your natural breath with the exhalation, opening the back body, and the inhalation, opening the front body. The elbows may not squeeze all the way together, but we find our own range of motion. And the next time we're open, hold it there. Maybe tip the chin up a little bit. Notice what this does for the torso, for the breath, and again for the spirits. And now draw those elbows together, curl in, maybe even draw that belly button in, draw the ribs down. Breathe into the back body. Palms together, every single fingertip pressing against each other. Notice the energetic difference here. And then all the way back to neutral. Reach those arms out, pause for a moment, palms up to the sky, and release down. Shake those shoulders out a little bit. And then take yourself for a walk out front, maybe on your fingertips to begin with, and then release the head and the neck. You may start to bend the elbows, perhaps. Let's see if you can keep the sit bones anchored down towards whatever you're sitting on. And come all the way up. And for balance sake, we're going to switch the position of the legs and do it on the other side here. So bringing a little bit of stretch and mobility to the body here. A little bit of movement to warm up before we explore the pause a little bit more. And then slowly all the way back. We're going to come into a deer pose. So bringing the right leg internally rotated, leg bent to 90 degrees outward, and then internally, so externally rotate the right and internally rotate the left. And again, a little bit of a flow here, taking the left hand to the earth. We sweep a big semicircle around us and above with the right arm. And then we go back the other direction and do the same with the left. Let's do 3 more of those. Just getting into the hips a little bit. Finding your range of motion. And now after this last round, we'll come over that left leg and take a pause. So elbows towards the earth or onto a prop of some sort, anything that you can bring the floor a little bit closer to yourself. Release the head and the neck. And then focus on the softness that you can bring to the places that may feel restricted. You can always come closer down towards the earth, maybe even bringing a prop under the head or resting it on the leg. And also start to explore how long your body needs to catch up with the pause, how long your mind needs to catch up with the pause, and what that final sigh of relief feels like. And then come all the way back up. And we're going to switch sides. So right leg internally rotated, left leg externally rotated, both bent to 90 degrees. We rest on that right hand, sweep the left arm around and overhead, and go back the other way. Switch. Nice. Beautiful. We've got 2 more, or 1.5 more. After this last one, we come over that right leg. Place the hands on the floor, either stay here, release head and neck, maybe come down onto the elbows or onto a prop. Release through the head and neck. Breathe into the back body. And find your place here. And then slowly take your last few breaths here. And come all the way back up. And make your way onto hands and knees. So today we are moving a little bit more, but we're moving slow, and then we're exploring what happens when we get to pause after some movement. So very representative of what we might do in normal life. Hands come under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and slowly we're going to start to move our body into cat and cow on our own breath, our own time. You can see where the movement initiates. Maybe it's through that tilting of the pelvis, or you could start to distribute it, seeing how many muscles you can recruit in each movement. And now, next time you're in cow, so with the heart and the front body open, hang out there for a moment. Let the shoulders come onto the back. And next time, and then you come into cat, pressing into the hands, into the knees, open up through the back body and pause there. And then slowly come down onto the elbows. And we're going to do 3 more rounds here. Planting the hands on the floor, elbows right under the shoulders. Inhale, looking up, and exhaling, looking towards the belly button. So same thing here, move slowly. And then next time you come into that inhalation, the arc, hold here and settle into it. And then exhale, curl, look towards the belly button. And while you're still breathing, you're holding this position, drawing the belly button up to the sky. Almost as if you're drawing your elbows towards your knees. And then back to center. So neutral position, right leg comes up. You're going to do some slow circles with that right knee. And after you've done 4, you're going to go in the other direction. And after 4 in this direction, you're going to flex through the foot, press the heel up to the sky, and pause here. Release that down, left leg, same thing. Slow circles with that left leg. Watch what happens with that right hip too. See if you can keep it stable and not rock side to side. After 4 in this direction, switch directions. Keeping the ribs pulled in, the lower abdomen active. And then hold up there. Dorsiflex the foot. Press the heel up to the sky. And pause. And then come back down. Come into a child's pose and find some support here. Make sure the forehead has something to rest on. And then we're going to slowly come back to hands and knees. Draw that right leg forward between the hands. Move the left knee back. Make any padding under that left knee that you might need. And we're going to very slowly shift the hips back into an Ardha Hanumanasana. And exhale, come forward. 3 more of those. So if you need the floor closer to you, you can have blocks under your hands or any other makeshift blocks you want to use. Just getting a little bit of slow, mindful movement in that hip. So next time you come forward, you're going to hold there in that low lunge. Release the head and the neck. You may even rest on that right thigh with one or both arms. You may start to bring your body a little bit more upright if you have the balance. Notice in different positions. How long does it take for certain muscles to catch up with the pause? How long does it take your nervous system to catch up, to feel safe? Tops of your shoulders, your breath, your mind. And then slowly we're going to bring those hands back down, shift the hips back into Ardha Hanuman. We'll take a moment here to draw the legs towards each other to square those hips up towards the front of the mat. Get nice and long through the spine, and maybe you can walk a little further forward again. Props may be useful here. Release the head and the neck. Let me pause here. Notice what happens as we hold the pose for longer, as we allow the body to catch up. And how much potential that has. And now let's bend into that right leg and come back onto hands and knees and go to the other side. So left foot comes forward between the hands. And just like the last time, we can maybe pad underneath that right knee or keep it on the ground. And we're going to shift back, Ardha Hanumanasana 4 times. And exhale, come forward. So moving slowly and mindfully within your own range of motion. Watching what happens during movement so that we can compare that to what happens during the pause. Here we feel a little bit of warming up going on, a little bit of lubrication. And now we'll pause in that low lunge, either with the hands on props or on the earth. Maybe we support ourselves with one or two arms on that front thigh. Maybe we even press ourselves up a little more upright to get more in that front right hip flexor. And we settle in here. Soften the eyes, soften the shoulders. And then slowly bring the hands down again, shift back into Ardha Hanuman. Take a moment to square the hips off to lengthen the body, the torso, and then maybe we walk a little further forward with props or not. And we give the moment for every level, every layer of us to really soak it in. Beautiful. We shift forward and then press back onto hands and knees. So for the next pose, we're going to go into pigeon, and you may or may not need a prop here. If pigeon isn't your cup of tea, you can come into the same kind of deer pose we were in earlier so that both knees are bent. In pigeon, the big difference is that the right knee will be bent. So bring the right knee towards that right wrist. And then scoot that left leg back behind you a little bit more. So that back leg is extended at the hip. Whereas in a relaxed, supported pigeon, both legs would be bent. So you decide, and then you decide if you need some extra support as well. So either a block or a pillow or a bolster underneath that right hip. And then we can start to come forward. Again, we could have something to catch us as we come forward as well. A block, a folded blanket, another cushion, or maybe we even have something that we can bring our head down onto. So there's all this setting up to get into a posture, into a shape. And we can watch the different phases. First, it feels like, oh, that's a good stretch. And if we were to come out of it in a few breaths, we would have addressed some of the muscle tension. But what happens after those few breaths? Different layers reveal themselves. We start to feel the connective tissue. We start to breathe space. into these holding patterns we have. We start to notice where else we're holding, including patterns of the mind. And especially in these hip poses, sometimes what becomes really upfront is holding patterns of the emotions and what we're holding where. One more round of breath here. And then we slowly walk our way out of that side, extract ourselves, do anything we need to in between, and then we go to the other side. So left foot steps towards the left wrist, and then the knee drops down towards that left wrist as the foot walks across the mat. We put in place any prop that we might need. Back leg is extended behind us, and we start to fold over. You notice any differences on the sides. And again, we could be mistaken that in those first few breaths, that is the pose. And then we go further. And we bravely walk towards the next layer. And slowly start to remove yourself from that side, from that shape. Do whatever you need to between. And get ready to come down onto our abdomen. So we come all the way down. Turn the head to one side, maybe form a little triangle with your hands to rest the head on and wiggle out those hips. So with the left hand under the head, turn to the right Bring the right arm out to a cactus arm. So the elbow's in line with the shoulder. And then we're going to kind of make the same shape with our legs, bringing the knee out in line with the hip and the toes pointing towards the right as well. You may need some extra padding underneath that knee. So putting a folded blanket under there or a towel. It's always nice. And then you hang out here. You can adjust how deep that knee bends in, but find a place that's sustainable. So it's kind of like a half frog pose here. And work on melting down into the earth. Every exhalation. How does it feel to be this close to the ground and this supported? Any more breaths in this shape where we switch positions, switch legs, taking any pause between sides that you need. And slowly extract ourselves, first the leg, then the arm. Maybe a few wiggles. And then I'm going to come on to my other side here. We'll gaze to the left this time, right hand supporting under the head, left arm out in a cactus, and the left knee slides up in line with the hip, left toes pointed to the left, and we relax here. Feel that left head flexor relaxing. The left side of the pelvis. Release with every exhale. More round the breath before extracting yourself out of this side. First the leg, then the arm, and some wiggles. And then you're slowly going to bring yourself into a sphinx pose, elbows under the shoulders or slightly ahead. Make sure everything from the pelvis to the tops of the toes are planted on the floor, are grounded. You can take a moment just to relax here. And then slowly use the strength of the arms to draw yourself longer, taller through the spine, shoulders on the back, head and neck, an extension of that spine. If you need more support here, you can always take something to support under the head. Arms in the same position, you're still getting that length and that extension of the spine with a little bit less fire. And then slowly release through that. Do whatever you need in between. And press yourself up into a child's pose again. Knees apart, just together, hips towards the heels. If you need something to catch you on the way down, that also works. Propping it up a little bit to catch your head if needed. If your head is turned to the side, I will let you know when you can switch it to the other side. Halfway through. And switch sides. Couple more breaths here. And then slowly make your way up. We're going to come onto our backs. So if you have a bolster, we're going to do a little bit of heart opening here. a bolster or blocks. If the blocks are too hard, you can always place a blanket over top, or the bolster or cushion comes right into your pelvis as you drape your upper body over it to boost your heart up. If you need something behind the head, you can make a little pillow or something, and then arms come out beside you. For the first variation, you can keep the knees bent, feet on the floor, knees falling in towards each other. And then as your body adjusts, you can take different variations, either stretching the legs out along your mat, straight in front, or you could bring your feet towards each other and let the knees fall out to the sides. Perhaps you need some support under the thighs. So pillows or blocks to catch, or rolled up blankets or towels. As we pause in this new position, where the back body is supported and the front body is receptive. After those first few breaths of getting settled into the pose, what happens within? What shifts do you feel in body, in mind, and in spirit? We were in the Supta Baddha Konasana, we reclined cobras. You can draw those knees back in together. And let yourself settle for a moment. And in either of the poses, you can roll off the prop and bring it out beside you again. Readjust to the floor. Maybe taking repose, taking the knees towards each other, feet apart, and readjusting. We'll take an easy twist here, bringing the feet hip width apart, picking the hips up slightly and shifting to them to the left while our knees drop over to the right. Now you may need a bolster or pillow to catch you on your way down. You may need a pillow between the knees. Whatever feels right for you. And then keep those shoulders on the butt ground. Perhaps even turn the head towards the left. And then slowly we'll start to bring those knees back up to center. Remove any props on that side to get ready for the other side. Feet hip width apart, hips pick up, shift to the right as the knees fall to the left. You either have something catching your knees or even bring something between the knees. Open those arms up, gaze towards the right. And slowly you start to come out of that side. Do whatever you need to do between sides. So we're going to start moving into our final relaxation. You can do whatever. If there's another shape that needs to move through your body before we get there, go for it. Otherwise, you can start to find your position. So this may be in the traditional Shavasana. Maybe you have a bolster or pillow that you can use to support underneath the knees. Palms open. You maybe have the legs draped over a bed or a couch, maybe their legs up the wall, whatever feels right for you in this pause. And here we are getting to the ultimate pause. How long does it take for your body, mind, and soul to catch up here? What tools do you have to increase the restoration, the productivity, the effects of your pause? You have the breath, you have sensation, the mindfulness to keep coming back to the here and the now. As you, as you lay here or sit here or rest here, feel feel the effect on your body of complete and total stillness. The give and take of the breath, the balance restored in the body. May you receive all the benefits of your practice and stay here as long as you can. And then you may move on and go on to the rest, whatever your day or night has planned for you. I thank you for sharing your practice with me, for restoring for me, and for letting me be part of your pause. I encourage you to find more pause this week as we start this new moon cycle, this new lunar year. Thank you so much again. Love and peace.